Frutiger Aero is a term coined in 2017 by Sophie Lee, a member of the Consumer Aesthetics Research Institute. It's used to describe an optimistic and futuristic corporate tech aesthetic born from an early 2000s utopian vision of the future. Its name comes from the Frutiger font family, commonly used in corporate branding through the 2000s, and Aero comes from the Windows Aero UI theme used in the Windows Vista and Windows 7 operating systems during this same period. The examples I've displayed on screen so far may already begin to look familiar to you, especially if you were a child and raised during this time like I was. Its characteristics in particular, as listed on the Consumer Aesthetics Research Institute page, are skeuomorphism in UI UX design. For example, when the icons for folders in Windows 7 would try to mimic their real-life counterparts, as opposed to the much flatter design seen in modern day with Windows 11. Glossy design, Frutiger/humanist sans serif typefaces. These are fonts intended to be highly legible, used in airports and train stations, for example. Tertiary color palettes, glassy transparent materials, photographs of aurora borealis, bokeh photography. These are those pictures where it's like super out of focus, so it's all just circles. And macro photographs of grass or usually nature in general, like water, sea life, bright blue cloudy skies, and bubbles. This aesthetic could be seen everywhere during the mid-2000s, in commercials, video games, children's toys, cleaning products, children's shows and films, web pages, but especially in the user interfaces of personal electronic devices. The Windows Vista and Windows 7 operating systems, early macOS, Windows Mobile, early Android phones, early iOS, and the entire 7th generation of video game consoles all ooze these characteristics in their UI design. Technology everywhere seemed to promote this vision of harmony between the digital world and real life. Eventually though, passion for this optimistic vision of the future started to dwindle. The Consumer Aesthetics Research Institute believes Frutiger Aero's reign saw its end in 2013, which I personally believe as well. In this year, people are transitioning faster and faster from Windows 7 to the much flatter, bolder, and more minimalist Windows 8 via the free upgrade offered for existing users. The successor to the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, also saw its debut featuring the same Metro-style flat tiles and dashboard featured in Windows 8. The Wii U and PS Vita had just released as well, which, while preserving the signature elements of Frutiger Aero as we know it in their interface design, beautifully mind you, are infamously known as commercial failures by many who are familiar with them. Apple had also released iOS 7, which began a drastic shift away from the glossy skeuomorphic design seen in all versions of iOS until 6, and introduced a much flattened minimalist aesthetic that has stayed till this day. Since this sudden shift in design trends, we've seen design only get flatter, aptly dubbed the corporate Memphis aesthetic. The Nintendo Switch released in 2017 has possibly the flattest and simplest user interface design to date, and social media applications like Discord and WhatsApp that saw their rise in popularity during the 2020 pandemic seem to take pride in flat, depthless interfaces, unlike the now defunct Windows Live Messenger or Skype. Gaming platforms like Roblox also made bold, huge changes in visual identity, which many people believe took away a lot of their original charm and appeal. For years, it seemed Frutiger Aero and its defining traits were a lost recipe. No software seemed to incorporate elements of it anymore. People who still pined for this era of design were thought to be yearning for no reason besides pure nostalgia. You only miss something once it's gone. After all, this is the nature of design aesthetics. People saw corporate Memphis and thought it was more sleek, modern, and professional than Frutiger Aero, and so, they chose to move on. But one sunny day, Frutiger Aero returned? That's right! In late 2022 and early 2023, Frutiger Aero had a sudden burst of popularity on social media after laying dormant for nearly an entire decade, a resurgence that was a long time coming. A quick browse through the Frutiger Aero hashtag on Instagram shows immediate fanfare and borderline obsession over this aesthetic. For some people, it's not a trend, it's a lifestyle. There are entire brands that create goods themed around it, like skeuos.net. This store is filled with clothing, home decor, jewelry, and office equipment made to embody the nostalgia they feel for the quote-unquote future we deserved. There are even entire archives dedicated to preserving this moment in time, namely the Frutiger Aero archive created by Danielle63, which has helped inform a lot of the video essay you're listening to right now. Some people have such a strong distaste for how flat the modern messaging app Discord is, that they go as far as to use modded clients to make it skeuomorphic. Even further than that, people have created entire custom Discord clients themed around the defunct 2009 Windows Live Messenger instead. Discord isn't the only example of this either. Here's an entire custom Frutiger Aero client for the social media Blue Sky. It doesn't just stop at social media. Users online wish to see Frutiger Aero in their everyday routine PC use more. They'll go as far as to use entire transformation packs like Revert 8 Plus to replace the flat, sharp design of Windows 10 and 8 with that of Windows 7. There's so much time and passion put into building mod packs like this, or even creating custom software from the ground up. This is serious biz. The question I want to ask in this video essay though is, why did Frutiger Aero come back? There are insane levels of passion on display. Some people risk bricking their computers or getting their accounts banned using third-party unofficial software just to enjoy it more in their daily routine. Is this a simple yearning for self-expression and nostalgia, or is something bigger driving this en masse desire for it? Well, the Frutiger Aero subreddit is full of people with this passion. People new to or long familiar with the concept of this aesthetic congregate here to share anything they find or make that seems to exude that Frutiger energy. These can be phone themes, artwork, products they find in the store, old images they find online, or just photos they've taken of nature themselves. They also come to discuss what drives them to be so passionate for Frutiger Aero and what it means to them. Frutiger Aero is regarded by some people on this forum as the way corporations got people on board with tech in an era where it was still unfamiliar. Skeuomorphism helped it seem less alien to people with its familiar imagery, and naturally, people became more comfortable with it over time. And once they felt people were comfortable enough, and when society became more dependent on tech as a whole, they decided it was fine to stop putting the effort in and settle for cheaper to design and easier to develop flat minimalistic options instead, leaving behind an aesthetic that was much more polished, vibrant, and deep with character. To me, it seems that the flat soullessness of modern design is starting to deter people and wear thin, because to them it's coincided with and represents the rise in corporate greed, and an era where tech and AI are prioritized over the people they were made for in the first place. Some people on the subreddit seem to believe that modern UI and tech design have seen a trend of becoming anti-human. One user referencing the absurd size of modern cell phones, which, yeah, when viewing a comparison between an old iPhone and the modern, monolithic iPhone 16, they really just seem to keep growing and growing to the point where they're barely pocket suitable anymore. Speaking of it, tech belonging to the era of Frutiger Aero also promoted having full ownership of the things you buy and pay for, a sentiment not really shared in modern day. When physical media like DVDs and CDs were more abundant, programs like Windows Media Player would promote ripping physical media to keep your own digital locally saved copies, or burn your own physical personal use copies for offline use. This is in stark contrast to modern day, where a lot of media is only hosted and shared through streaming services like Netflix, Disney+, or Spotify that try to disable themselves if they detect that they're being recorded. The 7th generation of game consoles all accommodate offline users much more than modern day do. There was nowhere near the same amount of DRM and protection preventing you from accessing the content you've purchased. Some of these stop you from actually playing the game until you've connected to the internet and downloaded an update, rendering the game copy unusable without an internet connection. Even now, Nintendo seems to sell game keycards, which only allow you to download the game once inserted to the system. The game's nowhere to be found on the card itself. To so many, this seems like a very bleak era of technology, where it's totally inconsiderate of the user's needs and seems to try to make itself the solution to a problem that it's created in the first place. I believe this explains Frutiger Aero's sudden resurgence in popularity, and why so many people seem to be nostalgic and passionate for this aesthetic. In a world where modern computers constantly fail you, showing total disregard for your well-being and treating you as a mere stepping stone in profits, wouldn't you also wish to turn back to a more wholesome and less hostile moment in tech? In summary, Frutiger Aero represents a harmony with technology and a lifestyle independent from it, and this is why people are drawn to it, rather than the full prioritization of technological advancements and profit in modern day, where generative AI is being used to replace the real humans involved in making art, and you seem to need to be connected to the internet for just about anything. It advocated for a vision of the world where nature blossomed alongside technology, rather than it being eaten by data centers that pollute its water for nothing more than a quote-unquote smarter, faster way of making Google searches. Perhaps a future that tries to embody the morals and design philosophies of Frutiger Aero is still possible. Or maybe, the vision of the future we had all those years ago was actually the present we were living, and we just didn't realize it until it was gone.